What's going on, team? Welcome back along to your home of rugby, where we are into the third pool of the Rugby World Cup preview. We've done A, we've done B, and that's right for everyone who went to school. We're on to pool C. Of course, we're going to have a special guest joining us once again for this preview. And of course, before we get into that, a little bit of a pre-ramble to go on first. Make sure you do check out all the stuff going on around the channel as well. We're going to have plenty of stuff going on in the Rugby World Cup. We're going to have previews on the website every day, behindthepost.com. Don't forget it. Go there and check it out right now. Every single day there will be previews of what's going on each match. That is what's happening. We're going to be streaming pretty much every single match day during the matches as well. And of course, we will be making our picks on SuperBru as well, which you can join me and my guest, who has already spoiled himself, but Paul, welcome back, Mr. Driving Model himself. Welcome back to the channel, sir.
Hello, everybody. Are you ready for the Rugby World Cup? Let's go.
Get hyped, come on.
You're absolutely nuts to be doing every day. Anyway, whatever.
It's written. It's website and it's written. So it's quick and easy and nice. That's what it's going to be coming, because videos take a long time to render and edit. So that way I can write a preview every single day so you guys can go there and be like, hey, he reckons that Japan's going to win by 5 points, so let's go the opposite.
So Cornflake's boss, you know what? When he takes an hour and a half for lunch, you know what he's doing.
It's exactly what I do on my lunch breaks. It is exactly what I do.
Round the back of the bike shed.
writing on my phone. Yeah. What the cool kids do. Yeah. But that's what's coming up. Heaps coming up.
Well, actually, if you use the old Siri and the old voice recognition stuff, you can just walk around the store actually dictating your articles. It'd be brilliant. There you go.
Great idea. There we go. Look at that. We're making progress, just talking here, making a video about Pool C that we're not even talking about. So let's get into it. Pool C. Pool C. Paul the Englishman is here. And we have England coming from Pool C. We've also got arch rivals, almost, of France in Pool C. We've got the Argentinians in Pool C. We've got USA and we've got Tonga. And I'm really excited for what the surprise is going to be. It's an England shirt. I mean, it's not that impressive, is it really? You're wearing an England shirt over a New Zealand shirt. I mean, I'm kind of conflicted as to...
I'm dressed appropriately.
Oh, now, England.
Yep.
Your team? Is it your team?
Yes.
Is England your first love of a rugby team? Is that your number one pick? If you could have any result of any team winning the World Cup, would it be England?
Absolutely, totally, yes. I'm an England supporter first, through and through. Just because I've got an All Blacks edition channel, and that would bring me much more money. Well, hey, maybe, you know what, extra couple of cents if the All Blacks win. But yes, no, England through and through.
And there we go. The numbers on the channel just went... Oh, no, hang on. There's more people in the UK. Up the other way. We are going to be looking at the English team first. Now, England expert. England's your team. England's your home. What have you made of this side? Who are you shocked at there's been any omissions or anyone left out or anyone you thought wouldn't make it into this team for the Red Rose of England?
Well, let's see. Jack Singleton, 2 caps. Lewis Ludlam, 2 caps. What the hell's he doing there? Vudard McConaughey, 1 cap. I mean, seriously, what are these guys doing there? Seriously, Eddie Jones has pulled this together at the last minute. Now, those guys I'm not too fussed about because they are not going to see a proper competitive game at all. All right, but Willie Hines, 4 caps. Look, nothing against Willie Hines as a player, but as far as Eddie Jones' long-term planning, and did he not realise this thing was coming up? This Rugby World Cup. Did someone surprise him and say, "By the way, mate, you got to put together a squad in 2 months for this tournament," because that's what he's pretty much done with a few of these positions. He's given some people a whole bunch of experience, and then just thrown them out at the last minute. It's crazy talk of how he's done this.
What do you reckon that's down to? You reckon he's just just change of mind or change of thought, change of plan? What's made the irrational changes so late in his planning?
I think there's been a little bit of a change of plan. I think we've seen it across quite a few of the squads that there has been selections that are specific for the conditions we're going to get at this Rugby World Cup. So you've had people like Devon Toner get dropped out of the Irish team. Owen Franks not get included in the New Zealand team. And so I think there's a number of those sort of selections here. and a couple of young guys who have come through late on. Not that you can call Willie Hines at 32 young. That's what really confuses me. It really is that number 9 jersey. But for the rest of them, I can see why some of these players have come through. I mean, injury has kept Sam Underhill to just 10 caps. He would have way more than that if he wasn't injured. Similar for other players as well. So, yes, you can understand. I said most of these, but that 9 jersey is the one that really does confuse me.
Now, as a die-hard England fan that you are, what are you expecting from this team? The build-up, you'd probably say, has been fairly decent. I think they'll be taking that win over Ireland by that massive margin to bed every night. A little video playing next to their beds so they can remember what they are possible and capable of doing. But it's been a different year. I guess Six Nations would go down as a failure. The build-up was a lot more impressive. There was kind of all that controversy of selections and players going through. What sort of mindset or what sort of frame of mental state do you think this England team is going into that can get the job done in Japan?
I mean, look, they really good performances against France and Ireland during that Rugby World, during that Six Nations, right? The thing about England, more so than any other team, is that they are going to, depending on who they select, really changes their game style. New Zealand, if you look at, I'm talking particularly around the centres here, but if you look at New Zealand and you play Sonny Bill or Crotty at 12 and Goodhue or Antoinette Brown at 13, there are nuances, but essentially they're going to play in a similar style. Now, if you play Owen Farrell at 12 or you play Manu Tuolangi at 12, it's a totally different style of play. If you've got Jonathan Joseph or Henry Slade or Manu Tuolangi in that 13 jersey, all three of them play totally differently. So they, in some ways, they're the most, I guess, Swiss Army knife of all the teams. But have you ever tried to unscrew or do any real work with a Swiss Army knife? It can sometimes be just too difficult. So I think first 15 up, they are going to be they're going to have a team that can be really, really dangerous. There's no two ways about it. I mean, you've just got to look at the run they had. But players like Billy Vunipola and Owen Farrell have got to stay fit. If those two do, possibly also Manu Tuolangi, we'll see about as well. He could also be a very, very key player. But as long as those guys stay fit, then they're competitors. The biggest problem they have is the schedule. The schedule is absolutely stacked against them. Most teams only have to win 3 Tier 1 games on the trot to win the Rugby World Cup. Okay? So if you look at New Zealand and South Africa, they play each other first up. They then have an absolute breeze of 3. Basically, they go on holiday for 3 weeks before coming back for the knockouts. England don't have to turn up for the first 2 weeks. They've got a couple of really easy opening games, and then they have to play Argentina, France, quarterfinal, semi-final, final. 5 Tier 1 games back to back. It would be unprecedented. So I'm expecting them to probably bow out around about semi-final stage with everybody absolutely in pieces. But they're definitely one of the 5 teams that could win this Rugby World Cup.
Interesting. I find that very interesting that you think that they'll stutter at that stage of the competition. I do worry about a team that is so versatile in its style. Could come unstuck in the fact that it doesn't really have a game plan or a number one plan or a number one idea of how they're going to play, and are kind of just going to dilly-dally about until they find one that really fits and works for each match, which can often possibly could be the demise if you've already caught up the game too late and they haven't quite got their game plan set or their game plan right.
But it can also work in the flip side that how do you prepare to face a team that you don't know how they're going to play? True.
Yeah.
There is that flip side. And we've talked about Willie Hines. Another name in here that's really interesting to me, Jack Nowell. British and Irish Lion, absolutely fantastic player, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But he's injured and hasn't played in a while. And they're taking him to the Rugby World Cup injured. So basically they're only taking a 30-man squad because Jack Nowell's not available initially. And I don't think he's available until probably the knockout stages. You're like, is a winger really that important that you want to have one less player in your squad? I don't know, but it does suggest they've got some real plans for him later in the tournament.
I can understand that he is a very X-Factor, highly talented, brilliant player, but that is a big risk to take, isn't it? Especially, you can get away, I guess, like we've talked about before with the younger guys in those positions. I guess Old Thugger the Singer has been fairly fresh, but has been pretty impressive for the English. So yeah, it does lay question marks as to what they're going to do with him. But I mean, I can understand why they have. I can definitely understand why they've taken him along.
But what that does mean is that they've got two scrum halves and two fly halves because they've taken an extra winger to cover for the fact that he's injured, and that means Owen Farrell and George Ford have got to play every single game. There is no in the All Blacks. You can say, oh, Geordie Barrett could cover at 10. You look at this and go, well, actually, Piers Francis. To be fair, Piers Francis is the backup fly half, maybe Henry Slade. But for those Blues fans who have seen Piers Francis play, yeah, that would be a massive step for him to be playing international number 10. Jeez.
Oh, they've talked about Elliot Daly as well. He can cover on the wing. They play him on the wing quite a lot as well. And Anthony Watson, we've seen him on the wing as well. So it's a pretty versatile squad.
I mean, they have one thing this England team has got more than pretty much any England team we've ever seen before is strike players. In Johnny May, Anthony Watson, Elliot Daly, Cocknessinger. Hey, if the ball gets out to these guys, they can cause some real damage. They there's none of this kind of defensive wingers out there just purely to catch the ball and kick it back. No, they're all real dangerous runners with ball in hand. You expect this. You're not going to see 10-man rugby like a la Rob Andrew or even Johnny Wilkinson sort of style play. This is going to get out to those guys because they are dangerous.
Indeed, they are. Well, I think we've talked more than enough about this England team. We will move on to the second seeded side in Pool C, which will be the French, who have had, let's be fair, a fairly impressive build-up to this Rugby World Cup campaign. I'm not talking Six Nations, I'm talking World Cup build-up games. This is a team I think you're gonna love this, but the old cliche, Paul, Rugby World Cup, is France that team that just finds the extra edge?
Okay. No other team has done this. No other team would do this. Only the French. The French have got 2 locks in their squad. Now, you have to have 3 in a matchday squad. They've only brought 2 to the Rugby World Cup. Gabriel Gias and Vahamahina. Vahamahina, thank you. Now, their opening game is against Argentina. One of their toughest games and the important game for them really as to whether they're going to qualify or not. Gabriel Gias is suspended for that game. They have one recognised or one out-and-out lock available for their opening game in the Rugby World Cup. That is just absolutely nuts. Now, sure, there'll be back row players who can do a job there, but against an Argentinian side that's got an incredible line out. Now, okay, an absolute zero scrum, but an incredible line out, and you've not got yourself 2 recognised locks to get up there and take those balls. That's a massive risk for this side, and we could find that basically Argentina steal every single one of the French lineouts in that game, and France just never get the ball.
That's interesting. Very interesting point. Well made there about the old French. I mean, you're right. That is a very, very French thing to do, isn't it? No other team would probably take a risk like that. But I mean, you like say, they're covered pretty well in the back row, aren't they? They've got like 7 back row players in that squad. But certainly you'd just include a couple of them that are out and out, like Louis Picamoles. You'd never be able to see him in the second row, are you? It would be pretty impressive if anyone could lift that big fella up in the line out. But I think the excitement that I am looking forward to in this French side is what the new sort of blood that they've coming into this team that can do. So, of course, Romain Ntamak, the fly half, that guy has definitely got huge raps on what he can do. His first World Cup, just 20 years old. That guy's going to be surely something special for this team. And they've got, like we talked about with England, weapons, big weapons in this team that could do some damage. So I think out wide, this could be a team that can certainly hold their own.
Absolutely. And this, look, one of the things we talk about when you're pulling a team together at the last minute, which again has happened here because they sacked their coach not long ago and got a new coach in.
Only France.
Is that, we get typical France, is you're looking at combinations. And if I'll just run through where the players in the back line will come from. Toulouse, Racing, Toulon, Clermont, Toulouse, Stade, Clermont, Racing, Toulouse, Toulouse, Clermont, Clermont, Toulouse, Toulouse. There's a lot of club players there who play week in, week out with each other a lot. So combinations are going to be absolutely fine in that back line. They're going to be able to do some stuff that no one else can do because the players just don't play enough with each other. So if they want to run it from under their posts, go for it, because you know what? All the other guys will be switched on and will know what each other's going to do. So from that point of view, they'll be really good. Also, as you say, youth. Entomac at fly half 20 is likely to be paired with Dupont 22 at scrum half. Then you've got players like Pinot, who's 22, who can play in the centres or on the wing. You've also got Ramos at fullback 24. Raka also 24. You got some real youthful exuberance in that back line that are going to give it a go. They're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to this French team this year. Normally, I wouldn't say that. Normally, you wouldn't hear a New Zealand person saying that either. But as a bit of a neutral rugby fan, I think we can all say that it's going to be exciting to see this French team play in the Rugby World Cup.
But also, you know that the chances of this side getting anywhere near the All Blacks is zero, right? They're going to come second in the group most likely. New Zealand are looking to top their group, so they'll end up on either side of the draw. The only way those two teams could meet is at the final. This French team is not a final team.
I mean, France, to me, go on the same boat as Australia. Australia can be as garbage as ever, but I will never, ever, ever underestimate the Australian team. 2011, they lost to Tonga. France lost to Tonga. Yet who was in the final? France. If Tonga didn't choke against another team later on, they would have been the team to take their second place spot in the pool. So, I mean, I can never underestimate a team like France. They can always do something like Australia. I mean, Australia is just a stupidly good team sometimes. And other times, terrible.
Just to ruin your Group D preview that's coming next, Australia are going out in the quarterfinals to England, folks. Forget it. They're not going any further.
Hang on. That's exactly what I've picked as well. Exactly what I've picked. So we'll actually agree on that. Because there's anyone who hasn't noticed, I know we're on Group C here, but the Rugby World Cup page has a very cool little predictor thing where you can pick first and second in each pool. It'll tell you who plays in the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and blah, 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 blah. And you go all the way through the competition and see how they'll match up, which is quite interesting. Because you can match it up, and that's what I'm using as a reference guide for what I'm doing for the rest of these videos as well. Yes, because it has the pools.
To show you how sad I am, I've got it pretty much memorised in my head. Paul, if this team beats this team, what's the outcome of the semi-finals? This and this.
It depends what way it flows. It can get pretty sticky, but yeah, I am obviously going the same way as you with that prediction, so that'll be nice and tasty for that. Let's move on. Argentina. So this is Jaguares B. This team,
Well, hang on. Is it Jaguares +1, isn't it?
Well, it's Jaguares +4.
+3.
Oh, come on. Ezcura plays for Hindu, so it's +4. Hang on, 5. Mensa as well. Here we go, another one Cap player. It's Jaguares +5, but let's be fair. This team does not play like the Jaguares have in Super Rugby this season. The blue and white hoops of Argentina, the gold and blue and white hoops, just aren't putting the magic that the black and orange does in Super Rugby, is it?
No, it's not. And we went through and talked about who is the most important player for this team, for each of the teams on my show, on the Hash Rugby chat last night, and I picked Figalo because the properly plays for Saracens, because this scrum, the Jaguares scrum has been awful, but also the Argentina scrum has been poor, and they really need him to step up and strengthen this scrum, because it has been no scrum, no win, folks.
Simple, very simple, very basic. I find it so frustrating. It's hard to put into words, this team, when you see Argentinian rugby, how it's progressed through probably the last decade, where they've really actually started to actually come through and be a team that you'd want to actually be at that top tier sort of level. And now you finally see, after all the pain that the Jaguares went through of being, they shouldn't be in Super Rugby, blah, 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 all that garbage. Now they actually perform at Super Rugby and you think, yes, they're actually footing it. Their players are actually getting up there. They're competing with the Crusaders. You know, they're beating the Hurricanes or whatever. They're beating teams. They're in the final. That's amazing. Now this is going to transfer to Argentina, and then it flops in such a big, big way like this. What do you put it down to? Coach, because there's all that talk about the coach, how the coach that they really wanted to coach Argentina is coaching the Jaguares, and vice versa. Where do the problems lay here that the hoops aren't doing it for them now?
Well, look, okay, first off, folks, this team has been together since December in Jaguares. Maybe they just need a bit of downtime. And remember, all these warm-up games that we've had heading up to the Rugby World Cup, really, it is a bit of a phony war. Where are different teams at as far as, are they doing conditioning work? Are they doing moves work? How much are they trying to hide? How much are they rotating their players? All of this kind of stuff is going on. They're a team that I think will they look good, but I think they'll definitely struggle against England. And it's going to depend on how France come together. It's going to be fascinating to watch these two play on Saturday, because which team just gets it right on the day, because they both can beat each other, let's be honest.
It's an exciting team, though. I'm excited to still see the side play. I've been a fan of Argentinian rugby for quite a long time, and they've kind of gone away from the old school, haven't they? The old cliche of Argentinian backs. And now, but it's complete opposite, isn't it? Yeah. Remember that? Now it's like, Argentina, the exciting outside backs or even midfield players, they can just conjure up all sorts of magic. So it's really a massive changing of the guard.
Look, I mean, having these sort of players all together is just not suitable for work. Okay, Mayano, Delgi, Bafeli, Tukelet. It's just fantastic when you got places Moroni, Orlando, and stuff inside them. You look at that, and also De La Fuente. Yeah, that back line is to die for. I mean, they are fantastic. Let's be blunt. Can Sanchez stay calm enough to release them, or will he just go total bonkers? Let's see. I mean, he his last season at Super Rugby, he was much more composed and heading the right way. But you've got to that back line is glorious. The only question is the problem is that scrum just goes backwards.
You know what's really surprising about this Argentinian side? We've talked about them too much as per England, but both of their fly halves are actually outside of Jaguares' team. So there's no room for the Jaguares fly half, Benicia, in that team, which is kind of surprising, because I felt he did kind of fit into that side quite nicely, and it makes you wonder, that connection, just in such a pivotal position, might be sorely missed as well. And also the absence of Santiago Cordero did make me slightly sad, because he's a bit of a legend of that changing of Argentinian rugby, I think, through the ages. But still a good side. I still think he could do a bit in this World Cup. Yeah,
I think they should have left Mensah at home and had an extra fly half. But there you go. That's just me.
Yeah, I would probably side with your opinion on that one as well. We'll move on to our fourth side in this pool, and it will be the United States of America. Now, this is a country that normally feels quite happy about winning everything, but rugby may not be their time, but Seven certainly has been a changing of the guard for these guys as well. MLR coming through as well. Paul, you've been watching a lot of that. How good is this American team going to be?
They could be the biggest surprise of this Rugby World Cup. Okay, for those of you that like your Sevens, Ben Pinkelman will be there, as will Cepho, two members from the Seven squad. Now they've got their tier one scalp against Scotland. Now that wasn't a first choice Scotland, but hey, look, they did the job. They kicked AJ McGinty, and they've got a decent fly half who can kick those last minute penalties, and keeping him fit is going to be key. The big difference for this side compared to any other American side previously is that they're all professional players. So their strength and conditioning will be way higher. They're not going to disappear in that last 20 minutes like they have done previously. So that's the biggest thing. Next up, to me, it's all going to come down to what is their goal at this Rugby World Cup. They're not going to come third, okay? Let's be blunt about that. So they're not going to get automatic qualification. So then they get to choose basically two games that they can either target. They can either target Argentina or they can target Tonga. And the reason I say that is because Argentina play England on the Saturday or the Sunday. I can't remember which day it is exactly. And then on the Wednesday play the USA. They've got a short turnaround against a really hard game. So they will go into that USA game knackered and probably playing a second string side. Unfortunately, the USA then 4 days after that game have to play Tonga. So if they target the Argentina game, they could get themselves a tier 1 scalp. But if they say, you know what, we actually want to get a win, then the Tonga's the best game to target. I would love them to go hell for leather in that Argentina game, because I think they could cause one of the biggest ever upsets in World Cup history.
It's certainly a nation on the rise, isn't it? The Americans, through sevens, it's all kind of kicked off on sevens, hasn't it? And it's just exploded through the 15s. They've got great players who are getting experience around the world. I mean, you look at that side, there's players in Australia, there's players in France, there's players in England, there's players in South Africa, they're everywhere. And of course, there's the Americans playing locally in the MLR as well. They've got a lot of depth, they've got a lot of experience, they're getting players, they're getting top level players that are wanting to play rugby as well. It's not becoming an anomaly to be a rugby player over there anymore. And the game is kind of just is changing. The whole shape of the game in the States is changing, and success is just going to breed an even bigger market for them over there. And this could be on the big 15 scale a day for them to really shine. Is there any guys, McGinty, one you've pointed out already, but anyone else you think is going to be a real standout for this side? Blaine Scully, the captain, big pressure on his shoulders?
Yeah, I mean, obviously people recognise Blaine Scully, Captain America. He's a guy that's been around a bit. A player that people won't necessarily know so well, but has been playing for Harlequins, Paul Lasicki, ex-NFL player. He really can cause some damage in the centres. He's a wonderful player there. So he might be someone that a name that people don't recognise immediately. That is very good. But yeah, they've okay. I mean, the only reason I think they can cause an upset against Argentina is because of that short turnaround for Argentina. Don't get me wrong; they are the second or third best side, tier 2 side, along with Japan and Fiji at the moment. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how they go. Are they going to be exciting to watch in the same way that a Fiji or a Japan are? No, they're not. They're going to be a bit more controlled about things. But that I would just pen in that Argentina USA game just in case.
Right, we'll move on to our final side for Pool C, and it will be Tonga. Now, these Tongans, they're going to be a bit sore, aren't they? Not physically, but mentally. I think that last result against the All Blacks will certainly be not what they were wanting. Sure, realistically, they're never going to win that game, but I think a better performance from them would definitely been on their preparations list.
Absolutely. I mean, they're a team that, again, 2 years ago, I was really, really excited for. I thought they were on the way up. They qualified second in the Pacific Island group ahead of Samoa, and I thought, hey, look, these guys are heading the right direction. And then this last year, they seem to have slipped back. Now, I don't know if a bunch of players have said that they're going to stay with their clubs and not play or whatever. But yeah, they just haven't performed that well. Maybe they're getting a bit old as well. And we've got a few. Veruna is 32 on the wing. Fiona, again, 32 on the fullback. You've got a few older players where you'd expect you want your younger players to be playing. But yeah, I'm a little bit down on what I was hoping for so much more, and I thought they would give Argentina maybe and a bit of fun. Maybe give maybe France as well, because France lost to Fiji recently. But they just didn't seem to defend in Hamilton. And if you're not going to defend, you're not going to get very far, are you?
It's surprising as well in that game that for a side that has played together so much this season, I mean, all through the Pacific Nations Cup and things like that, they seem to lack that continuity that you'd probably expect from a side that has been together so long, especially defensively. Like you said, they didn't want to tackle. They didn't seem to have the structure together that they actually were defending in any sort of pattern or anything like that. It was a bit like backyard rugby from the boys in the red. The guys that are older in this team, I feel they need those guys because they lack a lot of experience in this team as well. This is certainly, I think, post-World Cup going to be a massive direction needed for Tonga in some sort of rebuilding capacity, because they need to get a core group of players. They kind of need to start again. Maybe they already have with the way this team looks, but they really need to build 4 years from now and kind of target that to get this sort of group ready and be more prepared than they seem to be now.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely there are some clubs here, and you think, wow, Mailey, the hooker, plays for Shirley Rugby Club in Australia. I've never even heard of them.
No, that's here. That's in New Zealand. That's in Auckland, Shirley, isn't it?
Oh, sorry, it is right. That's sorry. Takalaki playing for Eastwood over in Australia. We've got Fiziula playing for Auckland Marist. Now, sure, they're they're in the Premiership in Auckland, but that's Auckland Club Rugby. I mean, it's not even Mitre 10. Lower here playing for Papatoto in again another Auckland team. Yeah, there's some guy Faiva playing for El Salvador in Spain. There's some guys playing some not great level of rugby here in this side. Doncaster Knights again. That's second division in the UK. So I'm worried for them.
It's a surprise, isn't it? When so many other smaller countries are getting players moving into that top division at professional rugby, Tonga seems to be slipping away on that front, which is a bit of a shame. But I guess there's only so many spots, isn't it, that a roster can fill. And I guess a lot of these guys need to view this as a way to probably get in that shop window. But like you say, a lot of them are nearing the end of their career. So how much of a shop window is it going to be for those guys for their future as well? But that is our 5 teams, of course, going through these Pool C sides. Now, of course, to wrap things up, Paul, what is going to be your final finish for this side? Let's get our psychicness out. England at 1. I'll let you carry on.
Yeah, no, England are going to top the group. And if you're going to be sensible, it's going to go England, France, Argentina, USA, Tonga. Okay, that's how it's going to go. But as I say, it's going to be really interesting what the USA want to get out of this Rugby World Cup and how they target those last 2 games, because if they go for Argentina, and especially if Argentina struggled against Tonga, then wow, we're in for some fun. But so those last 3, I don't know, but yeah, England and France are going to come out of this group.
Yeah, I agree. I won't change anything about that one. I've said often in this one, I think we talked about it a bit in Pool A as well. I can't quite remember what pool it was we talked about it. But France is a team that I think could slip up, and Argentina also I think could slip up somewhere. But I think the way the pool's going to work is that they're all going to slip up equally back the other way, and it's probably going to end up the same way it is right now with the seeding. So that's a bit of a downside for it, but you've got a lot of teams that can be unpredictably good on their day, and also can be, a bit falling asleep half on the old job as well. But that is us for Pool C of the Rugby World Cup. I'll be back again very, very soon for Pool D, the final pool before it kicks off very, very soon. So make sure you get excited. Make sure you check out Paul's channel as well. And thank you, Paul, for joining us for the 2 pools. Oh, man, pool and pool is a very similar word. I've only just realised that. Thanks for joining us for the 2 pools, Paul. And where can everyone check out your channel? I mean, the hat tells it away, but anything else you want to promote?
Two channels. Yeah, Driving More across pretty much all social medias, Twitter and all that kind of stuff. Plus also to Drive More channel on YouTube, but also the All Blacks edition, which you might have seen Steve on a few times as well. So the All Blacks edition will be where we do post-match reaction to all the All Blacks games. Otherwise, post-match reactions will be on Driving More.
And of course, you could watch the game with me while I stream it, and then you could join Paul and potentially someone, or if I'm on it, we could double stream, and it could get really freaky going through there. But anyway, that's that's a confusing topic for another day. That is us for today. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you next time for Pool D. Until then, thanks for watching, and take care.
Missing you already.